Shalom. First thing and foremost, I give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and Brewell. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Those in the gospel abroad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is another lesson through the spirit, a quick lesson. Lord's will be edifying, titled Watch Your Surroundings, ahchyam out there. Just watch your surroundings as we're heading into these times when EBT is being shut off for the month of November, and people are literally, they're just losing their minds. They're going batshit crazy. And it comes in tandem of a situation. It's not really a situation that occurred to me, but people have been moving kind of weird this week, and just in general, since we're in a highly volatile time when all hell is getting ready to break loose. People are extremely in an irritable spirit because they don't have the necessary provisions in order to sustain themselves and their families for the upcoming holidays. So that that sparks room for aggravation among the people. Okay. Yesterday, it was a false, I won't call it a false event, but it was an event that I guess being situational aware, or situational awareness is what they call it, is when you're understanding your situation, your environment, and you're moving in accordance. You're moving and you're adjusting according to it. You have to understand situational awareness. So yesterday I was going to fill up my tire at a local, one of the local convenience stations out here. They got food, they got restrooms. It's pretty known, and I was going to fill up my tire because my tire was like, it was almost deflated, from the air and all this other shit and just driving. So I'm like, let me go and put some air in it. So of course it's people at the air pump. So as I parked at the adjacent angle, it was a vehicle that was parked at the pump, and it appears that he was getting air, and it was two people in there. So basically what happened was, so I got out the car and I went to the other side of my car to make sure the tire wasn't completely deflated. So I noticed that these guys put eyes on me, which is nothing uncommon, especially, when you're in this truth, you have a different spirit on you, but it wasn't nothing about it. So they pulled off, and I assumed they went to like a gas pump. So it was two guys inside the vehicle. Looked like it was an Edomite dude and a Jake dude, but find out it was an Iskarite dude. And once they pulled off, I backed in, got my air, didn't think nothing of it. So all of a sudden, after I got my air, I assumed that the Iskarite guy, he hopped in another vehicle, which was a white vehicle. So as I was going out of this, as I was pulling out of the gas station from getting air, then I was going to work out at a little gym I go to, a little local gym I go to, a community center, which is not too far from that place. And then all of a sudden, I see the white car behind me, but I didn't think nothing of it because I'm like, okay, well, I never seen this car before. And then all of a sudden, so I get to my destination and then I park, and then a white car, he stopped at the corner. He stopped and he kind of peeled around the corner, and immediately after him, the black car that they was originally in followed behind him, and they pulled into the, the back side of the parking lot, because the parking lot that I was at, you have one in the front and one in the back on the back side of the building. So I was like, wait a minute, are these motherfuckers following me? I'm like, it looked like somebody following me, because I got, matter of fact, I left this part out. So as I was at the pump getting my air, the Jake that was in the black car, he came back up to me. He said, excuse me. He said, did you see any scissors? And I said, scissors? And back in my mind, I'm like, what the fuck you mean? Why would I see some scissors at a goddamn air pump? And I'm like, well, what color were they? He said, I can't even remember, never mind. But he had his hand like in his pocket, which I don't know what he had on him, but I peeped it. So immediately when he kind of walked up, I got on alert. So I went inside my car, and and that's the Spirit 444. And so I went inside the vehicle just to make sure, I was, good and dandy in case I had to make a move, So back in my mind, I'm like, well, I don't think he's that stupid to want to be stupid in broad daylight. And I'm not saying that he was on anything, but it was just suspicious on how he came up and asked me for a pair of scissors. at an air pump. I'm like, nah, bro, I ain't seen no scissors. And I'm like, what color? He said, I don't even remember the color, but it's all good. And he was like, don't worry about it, then walked off. So I was kind of watching him from that. So from henceforth, after he came up and I drove out of the parking lot getting ready to go work out, then his car and that white car was like trailing behind me. But I didn't notice he was behind me until the white car sped up and went into the back of the parking lot. So I'm like, wait a minute, these niggas are following me. Oh, okay. I'm like, this is what they own. So I don't know if they was trying to rob me or whatever, right? So I'm going in the gym and I'm working out. So the spirit told me, the spirit said, leave the gym, go back in the car and go to another spot. So as I walked out of the gym, I got in the car, because before I did that, I went downstairs and looked out the back door to see if they were still out there. And they were still out there, and the dude had the headlights on. So spirit said, okay, get your shit and go to a different location and be circumspect of the environment. So what I did, drove off, and then I went around the building, and then I saw the Iscarite guy get out of the black car. He got into the white car, and the black car eventually drove off. So in my mind, I was like, oh shit, these dudes are on some folly. But what I found out is that the guy that drove the white car actually works at the facility behind it, because I remember seeing it before. Once I started putting two and two together, he works at a city facility, and I'm assuming that the Jake guy was with the Iscarite guy. I don't know if they was smoking weed or something like that, but it was like a false alarm. But being situational aware, you got to be on point, man, because that was just kind of strange on how that all transpired, because I'm like, these niggas is fucking following me, man. You know, so back in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, you know, be on point. In case somebody do something stupid, you got to be ready to, you know, flee the scene before you have to end up getting in a situation that's going to land you in prison, because, you know, it'll go there fucking with Jake out here for real. You know, you'll end up getting locked up or catching a case by defending yourself, man. So when I hop in the whip, I drove around the building and I saw the guy, he had like some bags or something on it. So I was like, okay, well, it wasn't really a threat in that ordeal, but it was still strange, because for the simple fact how the guy bent around the corner. So I'm assuming that when he stopped at the corner, he was probably waiting on a car behind him to catch up, because he probably took him to the job. But nonetheless, it was all strange on how it appeared that they followed me, and the fact that the guy came up to the pump and asked me if I seen some scissors, and he couldn't recall the color of them. So in my back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of suspect. Didn't feel right, you know? And on top of that, just niggas are moving in a weird spirit. So after that situation transpired, bam, nothing came of it. Everything was cool, so to speak. It could have been something, but, you know, it didn't turn out to be nothing from what I accessed. What? Price. Get a job. Top of the day to you. Yeah, so anyway, long story short, so the next event, I go to the gym. Now I'm at the boxing gym now, you know, because I train there. And then I go upstairs, get some water. So it's this Jake in there. And you could just kind of read people with certain spirits on them. So he had like this, he just had a dark spirit on him, man. So as I come up the stairs, he was just kind of looking at me, you know. And we made eye contact, whatever, but I ain't think nothing of it, you know. So all of a sudden, I come down and he comes in the boxing gym. So I'm in there jumping rope. And, you know, we in there training and shit. And he comes up to me. And you could just tell the spirit got a real dark spirit on him. Just a grimy nigga. So he had this countenance on him. And he was watching me as I was watching him. So he come up to me. He said, who the coach of the gym? And I'm like, well, you know, such and such, such and such. He's in the ring. He's doing mitts with such and such, such and such. So then he asked me, he said, how many fights you got under your belt? Now, I don't have a problem with you asking me questions and things like that, but it just, his spirit seemed real off. Now, that wasn't anything either, but it's just the fact he had a real off spirit. You know, he had a spirit of just a grimy ass Jake. And the scriptures say that, you know, that we're able to discern between righteous and evil. You know, so that being said, he just had a real dark countenance on him. And as we were training, he was just watching us, man. Then eventually he left X, Y, and Z. But as he was speaking to me, I could just feel darkness in the nigga's spirit, man. And I'm like, yeah, this dude ain't right, you know? So I'm just like, man, things are getting ready to go left real quick. So those of us, the truth, man, you got to really be mentally equipped to make the adjustments on the fly because these people got spirits on them, man. Then a third incident, when I left the gym, I go back to the gas station to fill up my vehicle. This is a different one. And then all of a sudden, I'm getting out the car and this is young Jake there. And it was another dude in the car. And this nigga was like, hey, you got a cash app? And I'm like, a cash app? I'm like, no, I ain't got no fucking cash app. So at this point, I'm irritated because it's just like, all right, this is the third fucking event that transpired in one day. I'm like, what the fuck is really going on? So in the back of my mind, I don't believe coincidences, but situations do randomly occur. But it's a spirit that's out here. Because that situation came with nothing either. But let's just say if I would have pulled my phone out and gave the guy a cash app, he could have took my phone or he could have swiped the cash app and then all of a sudden, you know, it could have been a thing of him stealing my information. So long story short, brothers, just be spiritually aware, man. Okay, as the scriptures say, Ephesians 5:15. I'm finna pull that real quick and I'll end it. But Ephesians 5:15 goes into being vigilant because for the simple fact, man, these spirits are out here. All right. Let me pull it, Salakia. Kind of doing 20 things at once. But this is the book of Ephesians 5, and I'm gonna start at verses 15. It says, see then ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil. Wherefore be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is, and be not drunk with wine, wherein is excess, but be filled with the Spirit, speaking to yourselves in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing and making melody in your hearts to Yahweh, man. Okay, so that's the scripture I wanted to bring out. Being circumspect and keeping your eyes, you know, on the prize, man, which is the kingdom. Not getting distracted by all this nonsense, because even though those situations were rare occurrences and nothing came of them, but it is a spirit out here that's gravitating towards the light, man. Okay, a good example of that is when you go into Mark the 5th chapter, when Legion, the dude had Legion on him, and he ran up to Yahweh, man, and told him, I adorn thee to torment me not. Okay, so these spirits are going to start coming around, man, and they're going to start knowing who the men of the Lord is. And not only those wicked spirits, hell, people just randomly talk to us. I was getting out the car yesterday, getting ready to go into the gym, and this old veteran Jake, man, he was just in his upbeat spirit. Hey, man, how you doing? Good, man. I'm rooting for y'all. Whoop the bam. You know, y'all young ones and this, you know, it's just spirits. They just come up to us and start talking to us, man. Same thing in the gym yesterday. People just randomly come up and they talk to you because, I mean, we have an engaging spirit on us. There's a light around us, man. And even the dark spirits around us will try to offset that light by drawing us into negativity, and we can't allow that to happen. Okay, I'm not saying being a pushover and let somebody get in your space and in your space and none of that, because of course not. You got to do what you got to do. And I'm a firm believer on defending myself, and I'm a firm believer on it's going to be you before it's going to be me. And that's just the mentality I have. That's just how I grew up, you know, and that has always served me well, you know, as far as my endeavor in this walk has always transpired. So with that being said, man, you know, just be circumspect, stay spiritual at all costs. All right. Romans 13:11. It says, and that knowing the time, that now it is high time to wake up out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than what we believe. Yeah, wake the hell up. Pay attention. Okay? Don't be on no cornball shit, man. Folly. Not saying brothers can't go out and have a good time, you know, because shit, hell, weekend coming up. It's going to be a nice weekend. Hell, Jake may, you know, step out, have a drink or some shit, you know, look at a couple of shorties, whatever, and then, you know, get back to the pad. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But even then, in these times, as times progress, be extra careful, man. EBT is getting ready to be shut down, and people, they're getting ready to lose their fucking minds, to say the least. Okay? So, anyway, one more precept. It says, the night is far spent, the day is at hand. Let us therefore cast off the works of darkness, and let us put on the armor of light, and let us walk honestly as in a day, not in rioting and drunkenness, not in chambering and wantonness, not in strife and envying, but putting on the Lord Yahweh HaMashiach, and make not provisions for the flesh to fulfill the lust thereof, man. So really, it just staying out the way, being circumspect, and making sure you on point with Yahweh, man. All right. So with that, all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Lord's will, you will edify. To the next lesson. Shalom.